Hi guys, it's Kian. Today is gonna be a slightly different video. In fact, it's not even really a video, it's more like a podcast. When considering what to do for this video, I actually had a few ideas, but none of them really calls out to me. So I thought back to why I wanted to have this channel and what makes it kind of different from what I've been doing with the doll hobby before that. So before YouTube, I used to just share my dolls via photos on DeviantArt, on Den of Angels. I used to also kind of join in the community and make things like memes. Memes on DeviantArt are not quite the same kind of memes that we talk about nowadays in internet culture. Memes on DeviantArt were kind of more like templates that other users create, and then you join in by using that template to showcase some of your stuff. So things that I guess now happens via Instagram, like I don't know, those default templates that you can check stuff off or put in photos of your dolls and stuff like that. I used to do that over on DeviantArt. So a lot of my sharing of my doll hobby was primarily photo based and also text based, like I typed words in a paragraph on Den of Angels to share whatever I wanted to share really about the doll hobby. And I think making videos about the doll hobby, about my hobby, provided a different dimension to the things that I was sharing. So I think with photos, things are 2D, flat. The benefit I find is that you get to look at the dolls in more detail, kind of as a freeze frame in time. You can get really, really interesting pictures. I used to stare at some of other people's pictures for a really long time when I wanted certain dolls. But I think there's something that video offers that photos don't quite get, and that is that movement of time. And since dolls are inanimate objects, that movement comes about by me interacting with my doll, or technically playing with my doll. But any form of interaction really, like just handling my doll, moving them, touching them, I guess, pointing at them, waving at them, etc. So that is the visual aspect of video. But in terms of words, it offers something different as well. So having used to type paragraphs on forums or on personal blogs, I would say my writing or my sharing of whatever I experience via writing tends to be a bit more cleaned up, a bit more summarized. And there is a benefit, I think, in that I can be a rather talkative person, that I would rant on and on about something. Maybe not rant, just like go on and on about something. But on text, because I type all of it out, it's a bit troublesome, so it kind of filters. I will filter myself to kind of just try to say the more important point, and also when I read and reread my text, I would be like, yeah, maybe this is a bit repetitive, or this can be said in a simpler way. And so I think that editing brings with it more clarity, which is something that I do enjoy as a reader, or as somebody who, takes in other people's photos or whatever they share via text. Even with things like Flickr, previously DeviantArt, nowadays I guess Instagram, if you just look at the photos, not the reels, that is still kind of the mode that like I do appreciate like there is a bit of a summarized nature to it that makes it easier to take in. But what I really feel like doing today is to kind of just go on an unstructured rambling about the doll hobby and not limit myself to any particular topic so I might go back and forth on a few topics. I don't know. I will try to make some timestamps so that it's easier to navigate around, but I think the main thing of it is I am at a point where I don't currently have doll friends that have the time to hear all these rambles. And I mean, even when I did meet up with doll friends in the past, we will talk about their dolls, my dolls, and it's a conversation, right? Like don't get me wrong, conversations are fun and all, but sometimes I just want to ramble on about the stuff that's going on in my head. And I've mostly not done it because I've been thinking like somebody who watches videos. So I'm thinking, oh, I want to see dress up videos because I want to look at nice clothes. I want to see how the owner interacts with the dolls. I want to see something that kind of gives me a small sense of accomplishment because, you know, the doll starts off in a certain outfit and then there is some mess or chaos, but it's kind of controlled when they get undressed, and then all of that is resolved at the end when the doll is in a new outfit. And if I like the outfit, great. If not, at least something quote unquote productive was done. And I don't know if this is how you guys experience my get ready with me videos, but this is how I personally look at get ready with me videos, which is why I kind of make mine in a certain way. And in the same way I make other forms of videos, I mean not other forms, other formats of videos on this channel. Like this is, I guess, a extended version of a chit-chat video in a sense. When I make chit-chat videos, I try to at least have a topic that I center around. So when people look at the video, if they're interested in the topic, they can click on it, right? And then it'll be more like you go in expecting certain things that you kind of are prepared to hear. But I think for some reason today I don't feel like doing that. I don't even know whether how many people are listening at this point. But on a separate note, not about dolls but about myself, I've been coming to accept that I might be neurodivergent, and that sharing or rambling about my special interests might be something that is good for me, or that is something that I want to do and that I have suppressed. Which is funny because I do talk about my special interests, but I think I don't get to talk about it as much as I would like to because dolls are kind of a niche hobby. Not everybody appreciates me going into detail, but I have observed that when I talk to people about the hobby, that is generally when I'm the happiest. But as is the nature of real life and talking to people who have their own lives, I don't get to share much beyond the surface stuff. And then today I thought, you know what, I have a doll channel. It is specifically about dolls. Why do I not ramble? And like I briefly said earlier, I think it's really to do with how I think of how I consume videos when I'm making the videos. And so when I'm thinking in the space of like I would like to see XYZ, and then I try to make videos in that way. But I think what gets lost are things like this, like what I'm trying today, you know, just unstructured rambling. I don't know, we'll see how this video does. Let me know if you enjoyed this kind of format. So, alright, let's start on the first thing. So the video that I thought I was gonna make when I woke up this morning is reminiscing all the dolls that I've owned since I started the hobby. So this video is scheduled to be the video that comes out in, I think, mid-September. It is June right now as I'm recording this. I'm a few videos ahead when I make videos so that I can give myself some buffer time to feel more comfortable. But when August comes around, when the end of August comes around, 30th August to be exact, that will mark the 16th year of me being the hobby, which is kind of wild to think about because that is a teenager, right? Like a 16-year-old person is a teenager, and that's how long I've owned my first doll, Gabby, for. So I mean, as of right now, as I'm recording this, it is not yet 16 years, but it will be by the time this video is out. And I thought, like, so last time what I would do is I would take full crew photos of my dolls and I would post those, right? Kind of like like a celebration of sorts, a milestone of sorts. But it's kind of difficult to do that, especially as I've gotten more dolls over the years. And it's not just like, to me, taking a photo with more than 2 dolls is kind of a lot of effort. First I have to dress them, then I have to pose them, and then I have to figure out how to deal with them not falling onto each other or crashing or damaging themselves, etc. And that gives me stress and anxiety to some extent. And even just like plain dressing all of them will take a while, as I'm sure owners who have more than 3 or 4 dolls trying to dress their dolls will understand. It's not easy to take a photo of your own collection with quite a few dolls, especially when you want to change their clothes to kind of match up so that you get a decent-ish photo. A slight sidetrack from that is also that, like, I don't actually own that many clothes for my dolls. I mean, I do, but for the number of dolls I have, I don't actually have that many clothes for each of them. They mostly share they mostly share a pile of clothes. So when I actually want to dress everybody for a full crew photo, it's a bit of a pain, because if, let's say, the theme is I want to dress all of them in an outfit that most shows their character, they're gonna be people, they're gonna be dolls who will want to have the same piece of clothing, and then I only have one of that item, and if they're both gonna be in the same photo at the same time, I can't duplicate that clothing. It's not a problem when I take photo of just one doll, because then I would just take that piece of clothing off of that doll and then put it on the doll that I want to photograph. But when I need to put all of them in one photo at one time, I can't do that. So then I have to figure out how to optimize their sharing of clothing so that they all get something that is, like, somewhat decently themselves, without me running into an issue of needing more than one of the same article of clothing. And honestly, this is not really an issue most of the time in my doll hobby, because I don't play with or handle more than 2 dolls at any one time usually. So like maybe half of them are in like not optimal outfits at some point in time. Maybe they're missing pants or missing a jacket or missing whatever because I needed that item for some other doll that I want to play with. And honestly, that's fine until I have to do a full crew photo, and then that becomes a bit of an issue. So that's why full crew photos are hard. I'm still quite proud of the one that I did in 2021. There is a video on it. Yeah, that was difficult. That took like a few months to like slowly dress my dolls over like different weekends so that I can, you know, not put all of the work in just like a short few days and then tire myself out and never want to touch my dolls again. So for that video, I specifically, for that particular full crew photo, the one with the green background, I specifically planned, I believe, a few get ready with me's to dress some of my dolls, and then the rest of them I dressed off camera. And then the theme was black and white because that was the most color. That was the kind of clothing I had the most of. And yeah, I was quite proud of that one, but I had to take a notebook and write down stuff in it, so that was quite a bit of planning. I don't really have the energy to do it this year, and I don't particularly feel like it. Also because some of my dolls are still incomplete. I have 4 doll heads in my faceup box at the moment. Some of them have been in there for 2 or 3 years. I used to feel a bit bad about it, but like honestly, one of the reasons why I am in the doll hobby, I enjoy the hobby, and that I've not, you know, removed myself from the hobby, like I've not stopped doing it, is precisely because dolls are not urgent. They're not something like pets or I don't know, something else that has some sort of, that I have some sort of like immediate urgent obligation to. And that's mainly one of the reasons why I have been in the hobby for so long, because it's not requiring anything from me other than what I want out of it. So I mean, I still feel a bit guilty about the fact that there are dolls in my faceup box that have been living there for like 2 years. I feel particularly bad about the Illusion Garden Evening Johan because I really do want that doll. It's just I don't really actually have a character for that doll. And what that means is that like progress on that faceup is slow. Also, side note, I did remove the faceup that I did at first. So this is kind of like the second attempt at the faceup. So it's been kind of slow going on that one. I also don't want to force myself to do the faceup when I'm not particularly feeling in the mood to do it, since anyway I have other hits that I'm working on. Sai, my dear boy Ruvi, is in it as well. He's probably the most the furthest along in terms of having his faceup done. He has lower eyelashes painted. Most of the rest are still in the pastel stage. The most recent addition to the faceup box is my Breakaway Jasper. I mean, he's kind of been a rare rush of energy, I think, because of how like I've wanted a BA for so long and actually owning it. Like when I hold a doll, I'm like, hey, I suddenly get a burst of energy. But that energy is not particularly sustainable, I think. So sometimes it comes, sometimes it goes. But his faceup is further along than my Illusion Garden Evening Johan, who's called Bess, by the way. So that's why I feel bad for Bess, but it is what it is. The hobby is meant for me to have fun. I don't want to beat myself up over things like this. So, yeah. Speaking of faceups, if I include any footage of them, that's because I took some of this footage wanting to make another video, which was gonna be about how to control Z, how to do undo in real life on faceups. I filmed the audio for it. It's relatively long for the number of points I want to make, and then I kind of got stuck at like whether I should just, I don't know, type out the stuff that I want to say instead of like using the audio so that it's more succinct. And also I need to actually get like film other footage of me doing the stuff that I'm talking about in the audio, which is another task. In fact, a few more other tasks. So that video has been stuck, but I might just use a bit of that intro footage for this video. Yeah, so about footage that you guys have never seen. There's stuff like that in my hard drive. Not a super whole lot, I imagine, compared to maybe some other people, creators. I generally try to use as much of what I film as possible, especially for video, just because it's like it takes up so much space. I don't really want to film something unnecessarily unless I know I will probably get to use it in some way. I'm a bit more, I'm not so fussy about photos. I take more photos and I don't really mind if they are never used. But for some reason I'm that way about video, I don't know why. I mean I do know why. One of it is probably file storage size, but yeah, so when I was going through the video that I thought I was going to make today, which is reminiscing all the dolls that I've owned and then kind of like ranking them on a tier list, I was going through my hard drive to remember what order I got my dolls in, and so some interesting facts. Anyway, I listed all of them. I didn't count the ones that I got as just like for example, sometimes I will buy a full doll but I just wanted the body or whatever, so I will sell the head. I didn't count those. But for any doll that I did own for a long enough time, I counted those and there were 30 of them. So where was I? While I was going through my hard drive trying to find what order I bought my dolls in, a few interesting things stood out. One is that I didn't take as many unboxing photos as I thought I did. Oftentimes the first instance a doll would appear, in my head I would think it's an unboxing photo. Like, I mean a folder of photos from an unboxing. But actually many of my dolls don't have unboxing photos. Let alone unboxing videos, which were something that I did in more recent years. A lot of them just had photos dressed, I mean like in weird clothes, but because I just got the doll and I don't know what I'm doing with them yet, but that was apparently a thing that I did. I also realized that I lost a whole bunch of photos from the later half of 2014, which was when I was on exchange, and that was when I had my Vogue's Tay. So all the photos I have of her in Korea with the orange autumn leaves, no record of those at all except what I posted on DeviantArt at that time. So like, I guess yay for at least posting, so I have some record of those. I suspect I had box opening photos of Cypher from around that time, but seeing as how that whole period is gone, I have no way to confirm that. But while I was going through all these folders, trying to find when I bought my dolls, not exactly when, but more like in which order, what I found was also some footage of stuff that I took intending to make videos, but I guess when I looked at them on the computer, I decided that they weren't really good enough to make for videos. There was one where I was just washing a pair of doll jeans because I could feel that it was gonna stain my dolls if I don't do that, and I was right. Because I think I washed it, I don't know, 4, 5, 6. I don't know how many times with soap and water. Detergent and water, and it was still turning brown. And I thought that video was gonna be about something like, how to wash your doll clothes, or how I wash my doll clothes, or maybe unglamorous things you have to do as a doll owner, but like I never got around to using that footage because it's kind of just really boring. It's just like me, one pair of pants, a pail, lots of rinsing. Like, as somebody choosing to watch videos, I would not click on it, right? But then, like, as somebody who was trying to make videos, that was what I filmed, and then decided, nah, it's fine, I'll exit. So that's one of the things that never made it out. Another one was this like test shot of me doing faceups. And first of all, I hated setting up the camera in that way because I had to remove a bunch of stuff from my shelf to stick the tripod in. I don't have a proper like a tripod that can mount on my shelf. And also my camera was too heavy, so I had to use my phone. And I believe I secured my phone to the tripod with an elastic band just to get a test shot. So I just wanted to see whether I could do face-up time-lapse videos, because that is something that I do watch. But I've never personally made. And even before this test shot, I know why I don't like to make time-lapse videos of face-ups, because I feel like I can't do face-ups when I feel like I'm being watched, which is weird because, the camera is not... Oh, I'm not gonna go into talking about surveillance and the panopticon, but when you feel like you're being watched, when I feel like I'm being watched, it's hard for me to do stuff that I would be able to otherwise. And face-ups is one of those things, and I need quite a bit of focus, and constantly thinking about the camera kind of wrecks that focus. Even if I got over that though, the second problem is that the camera angle, like what does the camera see versus what do I see? And it's kind of a weird balance. I'm not sure how many people who film face-up videos talk about this. I believe there is a Taiwanese artist, I forgot her name, but I'll put it somewhere if I remember it. But I believe she has written in her Instagram captions before that when she films face-up time-lapse videos, it's kind of tricky to get an angle where the camera will see something useful or interesting, and you yourself as an artist you're not compromising your angle or your direction either. Basically your camera is never gonna see exactly what you see, and maybe you don't want that either. I mean, you could try to mount what is the action cam, but like you could try and mount an action cam maybe around your neck or on your forehead or something, but like would that be good video footage? GoPro, that's the action cam I was thinking of. But like, would that be good footage? Would your head turning around everywhere be good footage? I have no idea. And I don't own an action cam, and I don't want to do that to find out, but I'm not sure. So that is one thing. But anyway, with the fact that face-up is in fact kind of requires a lot of focus from me, requires me to be looking at things with a lot of attention, I need a good angle to see what I'm doing, and then as a result of that, if I prioritize my view of the face-up, the camera's gonna get a pretty bad view, and then it's kind of like, then what's the point of recording the video? And then if the camera gets a good view, but I get a bad view, then it feels like I'm just making a face-up time-lapse video for the sake of making the video. But I actually want a nice face-up on my doll, so yeah. I never got around that, so that's why there is only this test shot. And I wasn't happy with the test shot because like I said, I still felt like I was being watched. I wasn't getting the best angle that I could be seeing for my face-up purposes because I was trying to get a decent enough angle for the camera. Also, it made me rather hesitant, or I don't know, I just behave differently when I do a face-up when the camera is on versus when it's not, and it's just not conducive to my experience of doing face-up, so I would rather not make videos of it. And another video footage that you are probably not gonna see, but I really want to release, so I'm just gonna talk about it so I can share a bit of it, is the previous video is a get ready with me with the red sweatshirt with the black wrap jacket, and originally that was gonna be an outfit for Noah, but not only did Noah not fit in it, the other problem I had with his outfit is that the leather pants that I wanted to use for the outfit ended up peeling, or like the faux leather pants, I guess, and it was a mess. So yeah, even if the shirt fit, the pants would have been an issue. And yeah, so that sucks because I spent so much time filming it and I had to refilm it, so that's, well, you got the video that's before this instead of the one with Noah. And then there are other things that I just cut out. There are so many random footage of me just struggling to put a wig on. It's difficult for me to put a wig on a doll on camera because of the angle and because of the way that I'm holding the doll. And also a lot of things that I don't film is how long I spend adjusting their wig so that it looks nice. If I actually film that, the dress up video will be so much longer, so I usually just cut it out and do it off camera so that I get a better angle to style their hair, and then once I'm happy with that, I film the final outfit with the nice hair. So talking about faux leather, PU leather, that has been another thing that I was considering talking about in making a video. I contemplated talking about how I no longer want to buy faux leather doll goods, or just like faux leather stuff in general, even for myself, bags of wallets. And then I contemplated making that about aging. You know how I've been in the doll hobby for so long, and I've owned stuff that's aged well and that's aged poorly, and what are my thoughts about that. I decided not to make a video because I don't really want to talk about it. It's kind of boring. It's more of a nuisance, and I don't want to make it more of a nuisance than it already is, having to experience it. I'm not sure how many people want to hear me complain about it being a nuisance, so I decided not to. But the two main things that I am kind of not really interested to buy anymore in the doll hobby because of like how difficult or finicky it is, and that it generally just ages poorly. There are things that sometimes age okay, but it's kind of like a wild bet which company or which particular product, even from the same company, would age well or age poorly. It's kind of like a gamble. The two things are faux leather products and resin eyes. So I know I made a video a long time ago about resin eyes and how I prefer them. I'm now at a point where I'm kind of like, I do like resin eyes for the versatility it has, but I'm also starting to see how glass eyes, which were the eyes that I enjoyed most when I first started the hobby, kind of just holds up better over the years. Resin eyes can hold up decently. There are companies that do pretty well in that, but even then there will be some yellowing of the whites. The ones that I have that have lasted like something like 7 or 8 years, decently like slightly yellowed whites, but like reasonably like it's not obvious, unless you compare it to a fresh pair of resin eyes, are like Enchanted Doll, Mako eyes, Oscar eyes, now Swan Doll eyes or something like that. There are a bunch of like individual artist doll eyes that hasn't held up as well, or so it could be the whites yellowing, could be the outer layer turning sticky, it could also be the color of the iris. So it could be a pair of blue eyes that over time have not stayed colored fast, and kind of turn maybe more greenish. And yeah, so all of this can happen. So now I'm kind of like iffy with resin eyes. And like EDs are great, but they're expensive. I don't know, I might be getting Mako eyes for Jasper. Or I might get glass eyes, I don't know. Glass eyes, the one thing I don't like is when they have very long stems, because the glass eyes are heavy. And then also Jasper doesn't have enough space in his head for that. That's a separate problem. So PU leather, just in general, I've always avoided them as much as possible in the doll hobby, but faux leather pants look good on dolls, and I still end up getting 1 or 2 pairs over like after like a few years, because I forget about how much they peel and how annoying those are. So that's annoying. You spend like, I don't know, $40 for a pair of doll pants, and then you use them, they're nice for like the first 1 year or so, and then I forget about them, and then 3 years later I come back and they're just flaking plastic. Doll shoes are kind of the same. It's why I don't have many pairs. If you see my Get Ready With Me videos, I think a long time ago somebody commented like, why don't you have shoes on for your dolls in this Get Ready With Me videos? And honestly the answer is just that like I don't like leaving, doll shoes die, like they flake, the soles fall off, the glue wears off. That happens relatively rapidly, and the mess that it creates in my drawers is horrible. Also, I'm the kind that I'll dress my doll and I'll just leave them there for like, could be 1 or 2 years in the same outfit. I'm sorry, but like it happens. With making YouTube video, it doesn't happen as often, but it still does. And while they're wearing those shoes and they are deteriorating, they sometimes stain the dolls, which is what happened with one of my Vogue's SD17 body. They were wearing a pair of faux leather boots, and I didn't put socks on, and now there's some like peeling leather that I've basically mostly scrubbed off with a magic eraser, but because that plasticky layer was stuck on the resin for so long, there are some spots that have kind of gotten oils in them, I think. So there is a bit of like yellowish stains. And yeah, I don't know. It's not fun to talk about, but it's just like stuff that you need to talk about sometimes. And this, okay, so like this like aging, deteriorating stuff, conversation are stuff that I would have talked about with my doll friends, because it's actually a pretty common experience. If you go on doll forums, people talk about it as well. It's just maybe not as common on YouTube or Instagram, I think, because I think the focus over there And over here is more about nice visuals or like relaxing stuff, like trying to show the more positive side of stuff, while the realities are like kind of downplayed a bit. And I get it. I mean, I go on these platforms to kind of see positive things and unwind a bit, but we do need somewhere to talk about real and maybe unpleasant aspects of the hobby. But I don't know, I'm just like chucking it here in the middle of this very long rant. So I think the last thing I want to talk about is Jasper. Jasper is, I want to get him a body. Ideally a Vaux SDGR body. So the thing is, Jasper is a type 2 CP Delve. So he has the weird neck hole that needs the neck mechanism. And I don't have an extra neck mechanism. Fairyland doesn't sell them separately either for Delves or FIPO 60, FIPO 65. They do for mini fees, but not the larger ones. I don't know why. But even then, what I've realized is that maybe they may not fit super well, because I tried Jasper on Gabby's body, and it turns out that there was a lot of gaps. I'm not sure why. He can be on Gabby's body, it's fine, but Gabby's body is not the same skin tone as he is, so it doesn't work that way. But also I don't like the proportions of it, so I don't want to hunt the second-hand market for an old Delve body, because I don't particularly enjoy the neck proportions with his head anyway. So I want something with a thicker neck, like a Vaux SDGR body. I don't want the Vaux SD13 body, because I've owned that body before and I don't like how it poses, or not pose very well. But for Jasper to be on a Vaux SDGR body, the old one, not the new one, he would then need some way, I would then need some way to hold his head to the body. And then I think what some people used to do is get a neck donut, and I've ordered a version of a neck donut off of Taobao, and we'll see how that turns out. But I ordered something else before that, which is like a neck protector thing. Kind of functions as a neck donut, but a slightly different shape. It is too big for the inside of Jasper's head, which is annoying. I mean, it helps to hold his head down to the body that he's borrowing at the moment, which is Joe's Dollstown 15 body. So a few things are happening. One is how to connect his head to the body, right? Which some sort of neck donut would probably work. Needs to be big enough to not put too much pressure on the two little angular bits of his neck, I think, is what I'm worried about. The other two things that are in conflict inside that head of his is eyes and the little tab at the end of his head cap. So with the neck donut, or rather with the neck connector thing that I have at the moment, it's a bit too tall. So I can't use glass eyes that have stems, because then there will be no space to fit those eyes with the neck connector. So then he has to wear resin eyes, which I don't have a good size for him at the moment. So he's kind of like, I don't know, his iris are really small. And then with the head cap has this extra long stem thing, which is meant to hold the like the CP neck connector thing, so that it doesn't turn and kind of like fling the whole head off of the body, which does happen sometimes, but not, I've never experienced it, but from the CP threads that I've read on Den of Angels, it has happened to some people. So technically, if I don't need a neck mechanism, I don't need this extra long tab, And I could technically just send it off, but then I don't know whether that is gonna be exactly what I'm gonna do. What if I do find a neck connector and I need the tab? So I don't want to send it off. But the problem is that with the neck protector thing that I have at the moment, I can't close his head cap on unless I do a trick, which is something that some owners have done, which is I take the head cap, I turn it upside down, I put it in the wrong way. And it sort of works, but the curvature of the head cap is not symmetrical, so putting it in the wrong way gives him a relatively high skull, which makes him look funny in a wig. So yeah, that's where I am with Jasper. I think the first thing that I really want to solve is his neck connector issue and his body. I think his eyes, his head cap, his wig, etc., all of those will come together much more easily once I figure out his neck connector situation. And I was gonna make a video doing a chit-chat about that, but then I was like, is it really enough to warrant a topic by itself? Anyway, my voice is going, so I think I'm gonna stop this video now. I don't know whether I fully enjoyed ranting. I guess I do. It's at least gotten something off my chest. I feel a bit better talking about all this. And I think when making this kind of long audio videos in the past, I've always kind of kicked myself downhill in the editing phase where I have to find a lot of photos. But this time around, I'm just gonna leave most of it as a black screen, like a audio podcast thingy. And only when there are interesting bits, I'll put in some videos or photos if they're relevant, so that I don't stress out too much about editing. So yeah, that's I think how I'm gonna do this video. And let me know what you think of today's video, whether on the topic or on the format or any of the stuff I said. Just let me know in the comments if you have anything that you'd like to share. And that's all from me today. Alright, I'll see you next time. Bye.